look now at the evolving threats to the homeland. We begin this morning with the chairman of the Senate Intelligence Committee, Mark Warner of Virginia. Good morning to you, Senator. You know, 9/11 introduced to many Americans for the very first time this sense of vulnerability at home, and it launched the global war on terror. I wonder how vulnerable you think America is now. Are we paying enough attention to the Middle East and to Afghanistan?
Well, Margaret, I remember, as most Americans do, where they were on 9/11. I was in the middle of a political campaign, and suddenly the differences with my opponent seemed very small in comparison. And our country came together. And in many ways, we defeated the terrorists because of the resilience of the American public, because of our intelligence community. And we are safer, better prepared. The stunning thing to me is here we are 20 years later, and the attack on the symbol of our democracy was not coming from terrorists, but it came from literally insurgents attacking the Capitol on January 6th. So I believe we are stronger. I believe our intelligence community has performed remarkably. I think the threat of terror has diminished. I think we still have new challenges in terms of state challenges, Russia, and longer term, a technology competition with China. But I do worry about some of the activity in this country where the election deniers, the insurgency that took place on January 6th, that is something I hope we could see that same kind of unity of spirit.
As you're pointing out, America came together after 9/11, and we are incredibly divided right now. One thing that is potentially quite explosive is this ongoing investigation of by the Justice Department of the former president and his handling of classified information. You've asked for a briefing from the intelligence community. Given how sensitive this is, why should anything be shared with Congress, given that this is an ongoing investigation?
Because as the chairman of the Intelligence Committee, and I'm very proud of our committee, we're the last functioning bipartisan committee, I believe, in the whole Congress. The vice chairman and I have asked for a briefing of the damages that could have arisen from mishandling of this information. And I believe it's our congressional duty to have that oversight. Remember, what's at stake here is the fact that if some of these documents involved human intelligence and that information got out, people will die. If there were penetration of our signals intelligence, literally years of work could be destroyed. Mm-hmm. We talk about the enormous advances our intelligence community has made helping our Ukrainian friends. That comes about because we share intelligence. If there's intelligence that has been shared with us by allies and that is mishandled, all of that could be in jeopardy. Now, we don't know what's in those documents, but I think it is incumbent. As soon as we get approval, let me be clear, as soon as we get approval, my understanding is there is some question because of the special master appointment by the judge in Florida, whether they can brief at this point. We need clarification on that from that judge as quickly as possible, because it is essential that the Intelligence Committee leadership, at least, gets a briefing of the damage assessment.
But that damage assessment, it has been paused, as has the classification review, and it will take some time. So, I'm assuming in your answer there, you're saying there have been no promises of a briefing to be scheduled. Is that right?
I believe we will get a briefing as soon as there is clarification whether this can be performed or not in light of the ruling of the judge in Florida.
Why should that happen? Because I want to get to something you said, which was the last bipartisan committee. You and Marco Rubio, your partner in this request for a briefing, put forth this letter asking for the damage assessment. But lately, your colleague's been making some comments that don't sound quite as bipartisan. He's compared the Justice Department to corrupt regimes in Latin America when it comes to this investigation. He's accused DOJ of leaking sensitive details. And he said the only reason to leak it is to create a narrative for political purpose. When information gets shared with Congress, as you know, the accusation is it will get leaked. So, A, it looks like you're losing that partisanship. And B, if you brief Congress, isn't it going to leak further and worsen?
The record of our Intelligence Committee of keeping secret, that's why the Intelligence Committee shares information with us. We remember, this was the committee bipartisan that did the Russia investigation.
But you know that your oversight capability, many would argue, including former heads of counterintelligence, the FBI, the line is drawn when it's an active investigation. They don't owe you a briefing.
I do not want any kind of insight into an active investigation by the Justice Department. I do want the damage assessment of what would happen to our ability to protect the nation. Here we are 21 years after 9/11. If classified secrets, top secret secrets, are somehow mishandled, I pointed out earlier, people could die, sources of intelligence could disappear, the willingness of our allies to share intelligence could be undermined. And I think we need that assessment to make sure if on a
which you will get,
but I think we
but
need
it's going to take some time.
I think we need it sooner than later.
But to that point, because it's so sensitive, because the country's so divided, because you already have in many ways a target being put on the back of law enforcement, isn't it more important to get it right, to be deliberate, and not to be fast here? I want the details just as much as you do.
I do not think we should have, as the Intelligence Committee, a briefing on the ongoing investigation. What our responsibility is to assess whether there's been damage done to our intelligence collection and maintenance of secrets capacity. That isn't a damage assessment that, frankly, even the judge in Florida has said can continue.
Before November?
Listen, once we get clarification from the judge in Florida, and again, I don't think we can cherry pick what part of the legal system we like or dislike. I have trust in our legal system. I may not agree with the decision of the judge in Florida, but I respect our Department of Justice. I respect the FBI. I think they are trying under extraordinarily difficult circumstances to get it right, and we owe them the benefit of the doubt.
Senator, thank you for coming on, and I know we're going to continue to track this and any potential impact to national security.
Thank you, Margaret.